Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. We're excited to explore how AI can enhance enterprise data management and decision making with the help of a clearly defined operating model. Today's session is led by two experts in the field. First, we have Igor Ikonnikov, Research and Advisory Director in the Data and Analytics practice at InfoTech. With extensive experience across information management domains, Igor is a master in driving strategy and execution for data-driven decision making. Joining him is Terry Roach, Chief Product Officer and founder at Capsifi. Terry's foundational research and leadership roles at global tech giants have shaped his deep understanding of business and enterprise architecture. In this webinar, they will focus on how to unlock the true value of enterprise data through the lens of an enterprise operating model. They will discuss how large language models can contextualize business operations and why a well-structured approach is crucial for realizing the full potential of AI. We're looking forward to an engaging session, so let's get started. Igor, please kick it off.
Thank you, Asa. So InfoTech latest trend in research is exponential IT. And exponential IT has been driven by the advent of the artificial intelligence of the new generation, that is large language models. They change the speed of everything. They change the speed of development. They change the speed of our reaction and maturity, even improvement, right? We cannot go through a linear IT trajectory anymore. We have to expedite everything. So how can we keep up with such an extensive pace of technology? From the data perspective, I can show you, I can explain to you how. So first, we would like, similar to service-oriented architecture, it's now data-oriented architecture because AI is all about data. So we want to mandate every capability in the enterprise to present itself through a set of data products on the enterprise data marketplace, right? It's a very rich interface, which is AI readable, which can be used for analytics, which represents what each capability does. So with that, the first thing is, so we build data product. Now, the next step, we've got those products on the data marketplace. But we need to link them together. We need to be able to reason over them. We will need something which we call enterprise knowledge graph, that is machine readable, AI readable conceptual model of the enterprise, which will enable us to link those different data products together and enable consistent analytics across all of them. So if we apply knowledge graph onto the data products, we're getting the next slide. We're getting the data universe. That is data products unified through knowledge graph. We are creating holistic semantic space, which is traversable in any direction and which enables us to run analytics. So we achieve the second step in our exponential curve, which is data universe. So next step, we want to enable enterprise management to use this data universe to manage enterprise. However, an enterprise management will need something like domain-specific analytics, and we create those capabilities, advanced analytics capabilities, to react, to consume data products from each capability and to holistically analyze what is happening with each capability, what are the say opportunities for improvement, what are the risks that we need to mitigate, etc., etc. So based on this input from this domain-specific analytics, enterprise management can make decisions to increase or enhance certain capabilities like customer service, product design. It may make a decision to outsource certain capabilities like finance or HR and merge some capabilities together, like operations, for example, and supply chain management, for example. Right. In this case, what we're achieving a composable enterprise. So each capability can be composed together. We can run a really composable, and we can manipulate the size of this enterprise. Now, if we add artificial intelligence into the picture, what happens? The speed of analytics, the speed of processing what is happening inside the enterprise exponentially increases, right? That's where we hit the final step of the exponential IT. AI allows us to do those analytics close to real time. So real time composable enterprise driven by data universe, which is comprised of data products. That's from the data perspective. However, there is also another aspect to achieve this futuristic state of real-time composable enterprise. That is, we need to represent the enterprise itself as a machine AI readable model that could be designed by human beings and processed by artificial intelligence. So, and from this perspective, Capsifi can help us. Terry, over to you.
Thank you, Igor. Well, firstly, what a pleasure to be on a call together with you, and thank you so much for that great intro and giving us a great perspective then on how enterprise data products come together and actually get totally plugged into the business capabilities that underpin the business operating model. So here at Capsifi, we have been working for years now to try to manifest the materialization essentially of an organization's operating model. And it's quite a strange fact that most organizations really don't think of their operating model as something tangible and holistic in a realized form. We often ask customers when we see them for the first time, where do you keep your operating model today? That's actually can be quite a confronting question. Most organizations have a very, very sketchy, if any, view at all about how the holistic nature of their business runs. And if you think about it, that is really the fundamental flaw and the difficulty that we face anytime that we want to do any sort of transformation of the organization. If we don't know what it is that we're transforming, how could we possibly hope to be successful? So our goal has really been to turn the operating model into what we call a strategic asset, a tangible, enduring, incrementally evolving representation of how the business functions. And we use the concepts of business architecture to do this. Most organizations actually, what they really have, instead of something like this, is a whole bunch of fragmented knowledge that sits all across the organization in a disconnected fashion, each different stakeholder having their own perspective on the business that gives a very myopic and fragmented view. It's really hard to see any sort of alignment and traceability and dependency between all of the various views that everybody has. And that means that each time you have a new initiative, you end up spending a large part of your time doing what we call business archaeology, just trying to figure out what that part of the business does. And this is where knowledge graphs come in. So we began our exploration of this space by thinking about if we wanted to create a model of a business, what would be all the things that we needed to consider and how do they fit together? And that essentially is the foundation of what's called ontology. The core intellectual property then behind this product that we've built is this enterprise ontology, which is, as Igor described, a knowledge graph of all of the knowledge that represented your business as a whole. So each of these nodes in this conceptual diagram over here represents some sort of knowledge type. It might be your catalog of applications, your processes, your capabilities, your goals, objectives, strategies, initiatives, projects, user stories, etc. Everything has a place, and the relationship threads between them are semantically defined to determine what those dependencies are. And every single node, of course, has all of its metadata attribute definitions, so that if anything changes anywhere in the graph, that's immediately sensed everywhere else, and you've got this ability to see the impacts of any change. Now, that then sits at the back end of this application stack, and we start to load content into the graph, into the repository. The repository actually can extend out over APIs into third-party products, so that we're aware of the state of knowledge wherever it might sit across the business. And as people are working in their tool of choice, updating their content, the graph is sensing that, so that when a canvas at the front end, a business user or a technical architect, for example, might open up a business canvas in the tool, it fires off the queries, pulls the threads on all of those relationships, and it returns a current state view of the business. Now, okay, that's how technically the tool works. What then is the way in which we organize this stuff? And what exactly is this thing that we're describing as an operating model? This is where business architecture comes in with the lens of the business capabilities. Now, business capabilities are the essential building blocks of a business operation. They define what you do. And if you haven't seen one of these, really what it is a big, large map of boxes within boxes, which gradually break down into more and more finite representations of all the things that you do in your organization. It's a really great structure for organizing your operating model. The capability, however, it can feel a little abstract to your average business person to recognize themselves in this structure. And so they become much more meaningful when we take those capabilities and we organize them into what we call value streams. And a value stream are your major interactions with your business stakeholders. A value stream is a very simple structure. It's just the stages that you go through in each of your interactions. And we're really not looking to make it is a very high level. Probably most organizations, the core value streams are probably a dozen or so we'd be expecting. And then underneath the value stream stages, the capabilities are arranged so that they suddenly become much more contextual as you use them in these interactions. Now, the capability, again, back into get a bit more detail. What is the capability? Well, it's really your ability to perform some activity, and that is provided by the combination of the tangible business operating elements of the people, process, information, and technology, which collectively give you the ability to enable that capability. So as you can imagine, then if this was an interactive business canvas in a tool, all of these capabilities become anchor points for those threads into the actual knowledge catalogs that we've talked about loading into the knowledge graph earlier. So this then becomes a window into the operating model knowledge for that team or that part of the business that's operating this value stream. Now, how would you use this in transformation? Well, one of the first things that you would do with a canvas like this is to ask yourselves, how well is everything performing? And we do that through what we call a maturity assessment, where we survey the business stakeholders in a workshop or through an actual survey, asking them to provide that feedback. And it immediately provides this lens then for us of where all of the gaps are in the maturity across this value stream and where we need to prioritize our efforts. On top of that, then we can drill deeper into those maturity gaps, asking for things like pain points. People can come and put their post-it notes all across this canvas and identify the specific pains that they're sensing that are leading to their impression of a maturity gap. And then for each of those pain points, a second round of workshops where we go through ideation. How do we address those pain points? What can we do about those pain points? And then, as you can see, this drives us towards the collection of the real backlog of prioritized work that we want to then apply in our initiative and make sure that we're putting our resources into where it's actually going to have the most consequential benefit to the team working on this value stream. So bringing that all quickly together, how do we then do this in the transformation journey? Well, we start then with the value streams, which are the scaffolds for the capabilities, the building blocks of the operating model with the people, process, information, and technology. Those are really just categories of information. The actual catalogs then are more specific that we've loaded up and wired up into the knowledge graph. And that collectively creates the operating model foundation. Now, the operating model sits in a broader context of the strategic purpose of the business, which is elaborated over here with a separate ontology of business of the strategic business plan, the desired results, goals and objectives, courses of action through strategies and tactics, and the governance in the policies and the controls. Downstream of the operating model, we could represent the agile delivery team, which is in this constant phase of delivering change across the organization in that very efficient agile methodology, which is entirely dependent on this backlog of work that we're going to be feeding to that delivery team. And that really is the Achilles heel of the whole exercise of transformation, making sure that we get the right stuff into that backlog. So this is where the operating model assists by in providing that connection between strategy and delivery, strategy and execution, delivery and execution, with this perspective of what it is that we're actually planning to transform with the delivery teams. So as the transformation unfolds, then we create a new initiative, align it to the strategy, define the budget, the business outcomes, the business roadmap milestones that we're trying to achieve, align the initiative to the value stream, go through that assessment of the value stream maturity, identifying the pain points, the ideas on how to address the pain points, translating that into feature enhancements across the value stream, and then packaging those things up into work packages to feed the backlog. And that then becomes, as you can see, not just a knowledge graph of the operating model, but an entire methodology for how to use this knowledge in an interactive way. And of course, the platform supports these lenses. And this is an example of one of the ways, not only to give you that contextual representation of how all the knowledge is connected, but and the methodology for driving your transformation, but actually to serve as a user interface to click through and actually access the various parts of this of the knowledge graph and the content in the repository itself. Okay, so that then, how does this all come together in the use to support AI, the implementation of AI, and how can we use AI technologies then across an asset like this? Well, one of the first starting points we've been thinking about this now for the past year or so, is how these technologies can be incorporated to leverage our repository. And we've come up with a whole spectrum of opportunities, right from across the whole journey that our users go in establishing this content. And it begins perhaps with actually generating the model. You can imagine, I'm sure you were thinking as I was going through that, wow, how do we get going with all of this? Where do we get all this content and how do we bring it in? So what we've built into the tool is exactly that assistant to help you generate the model. And so a brand new user picking up the tool for the first time would be able to come in, use the AI Copilot to request it to generate a capability model for them. Provide a few parameters. What is the industry that you're in? What region are you in? And various other parameters that might give us more specific representation of your business as opposed to any other. We feed those then to our intelligent agents that we've been developing, which are made up of a whole bunch of trained on the knowledge graph foundation that we are trying to make it represent, so that it understands what is a capability, how does that relate to a value stream, and what are all the knowledge that we're planning to bring together. And with some proprietary prompt engineering, we then pass those intelligent agents then query across and open large language models to generate for you a capability map, for example, of your for your industry and all the other, meeting all the other parameters that are provided. So immediately within a few seconds, you've got some of the content starts to come together. Similar thing for the value streams, the mappings between them. We can even generate process catalogs, application portfolios, and all of that content as a reference for you to get started and to then take a look at, modify, adapt to your business reality. And very quickly, you've got established your value streams. As you can see, an example of one over here where we've begun to do the heat mapping, and you're populating that into the evolving asset of the tool, of the digital operating model. The next level of what we do is the content augmentation. So it's one thing to have a representation of how your business operates, but what about all that data that Igor was talking about himself, the actual data products across the enterprise, where your transactions are actually unfolding and where all of your data analytics and the actual the statistics and of how your business is actually running, where all that data is sitting. And so through the concept of data virtualization, we have created an open API framework that wires up the map of the operation to the actual data in the various source repositories. In real time, we're sensing across here what is happening with all of these transactions, so that as data is changing, we can then make intelligent decisions and proactive recommendations, once again, utilizing those intelligent agents across the large language models, sensing the change in data and being able to make proactive interventions and prompt intelligent insights to help you continuously optimize your business operation. That then, hopefully, we've been able to explain today what the benefits are of having a large a tangible operating model as an asset, and how you can leverage something like that to create what Igor calls the composable enterprise, using the building blocks of business architecture to construct your own tailored version of your enterprise, and then use that to drive intelligent insights and leverage the incredible power of artificial intelligence across your business in a productive way. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Terry. And I wanted to add that, the futuristic or seemingly futuristic idea of real-time composable enterprise becomes quite realistic. If you do just the right steps, you create your machine-readable, AI-readable conceptual model of your enterprise with the business capabilities, value streams, and operating model, and then you enable or force each of your capabilities to expose itself as data products and make this data also available to AI to analyze and provide you insights. And all of a sudden, all the things start working together, and you've got this new highly agile, highly adjustable, and enterprise which is composable and is driven by real-time analytics. So recommendations would be, yes, try to enable business to model, to design the enterprise in all the aspects of the enterprise that we need. Make sure that data-driven analytics are in place, are part of your overall enterprise management framework. And then when you design your enterprise, make sure that you provide for AI to be able to be part of the enterprise management driven by the data analytics and the business operating model expressed as ontology or knowledge graph.
Brilliant.
Well, huge thank you to both Igor and Terry. This session has been incredibly insightful, particularly in showing how enterprise operating models and AI can work together to unlock the full potential of your data. And for everyone listening, if you found this session valuable, you can explore more on our educational content by visiting our webpage at Capsifi under Resource Hub or directly on our YouTube channel. And I just wanted to say thanks again, Terry and Igor, and thanks for everyone watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.